8 lessons all video games and FPS need to learn from Doom Eternal. Number 1, gameplay comes first. So many times, games try to sell you on something that does not matter. They have the flashy features, which look great, yeah, I mean they do, and they give you these awesome promises, and sometimes they fall flat. Other times they do redeem themselves, like looking at No Man's Sky. When it first launched, everything was rough about it seemed, and now it has a player base. So here's something that I want you to think about. What good is an amazing environment if there's no players to see it? You can have the worst gameplay in the world, all of your players are going to quit and leave and not want to play, and you can have these awesome environments and landscapes, places to visit, amazing things in the world, but nobody's going to want to play it. That's not hating toward the environments and the artists. Those people are really talented, but you have to have everything work together, especially the gameplay. Don't try to sell the game on something else without having that core. I mean, literally, it's in the name. Game, play. You play a game. That's the whole point of it. You have to make the guns feel good in a first-person shooter, because the point of a video game is to play it and have fun. Like I said, there are secondary aspects that are absolutely vital, but the core of the game has to be there, or all is lost. Number 2, be careful with microtransactions. A lot of games nowadays will nickel and dime the player. You have to respect us. What does that mean? Well, they'll say you have to pay $1 for this, $5 for that, $20 for this. Now, here's the thing I want to say. I've been playing Clash of Clans, which is a mobile game, since 2014, and its business model is based off of microtransactions. However, the difference that it has is you can still have a good time and still enjoy yourself and still max out the game even if you don't pay a dime. I mean, yeah, it does help, but it's not so egregious and nasty in a way to where you feel like that you have to pay to advance, although it is really, really good. And you have to think about the different things like DLCs. Now, hey look, I understand that companies want to make money, and they need to make money, and we all want our favorite companies to succeed, but you don't want the players to feel taken advantage of. This will vary per game, per niche, per group, but you want to be smart about it, right? If you're going to feel like that, hey, $5 for a cool cosmetic to support the devs, this won't actually affect anybody else, then hey, that's fine. Maybe $10 for a new level pack because the devs work on this stuff really hard and they deserve some of that money. Do you see the difference in the two things here? One does not rip off and respects the player, gives the devs some hard-earned money that they deserve, and the other gives the devs hard-earned money because they work on a game, but it's super scummy and bad. You can't have microtransactions in a game and be fine. Respect the player though, that's the key. Number 3, sound and music. This elevates the game, and they have to be mixed well. Doom Eternal does this so good because the sound of the gun is super punchy, and the rockets and everything, and they really stand out. And you have to think about, how will that go with the music of the game? The sound of the guns and the gameplay and the environment have to mix with the music and not clash with each other. If a game does that well, on top of having amazing music and awesome sound design, that goes a really long way. And, well, Doom Eternal does it great. I'm not saying that this has to be super loud and crazy. There are games with a more chill vibe that do very well for themselves. You could even have a shooter that's chill, I'm sure. It just depends on what kind of game you're going for. People joke that Doom Eternal is a game that comes free with a music album, and if that doesn't sing its praises, literally sing, I don't know what does. Number 4, replayability. Now, if you spend $60 on a game and you get 1,000 hours out of it, you're basically paying 6 cents an hour to play. Whereas if you get a game and you beat its story after like 5 hours, there's no extra content, no new levels, then you are paying $12 an hour to play that game. You build a much stronger community behind the game if it's replayable. Take a look at multiplayer shooters. What they do really, really well is they have you coming back for more and more. Like, think about all of the hours that you've probably put in multiplayer shooters. I know Team Fortress 2, Left 4 Dead 2, all of those have such a huge player base still yet to this day, because that replayability has them coming back for more and more with their friends. They build that community. The multiplayer people are there. They're coming back, updates. They want to play together. That is the key. Doom Eternal's campaign does have people coming back for more for thousands of hours, and it does a really good job feeling like a multiplayer game inside of a single-player campaign. Not all games are meant to be long and drawn out, and hey, 1 and 2 hour games are fine, and they do work. But the point is, have the player come back for more and more, and Doom Eternal does that really well. Number 5, updates. This keeps the players here. There is something just complete about a finished game. Well, I mean, hey, growing up in the 90s, 2000s, we got all of our games finished. There was no such thing as DLC you had to download, or maybe the game came out and then it wasn't like 2 months later you had to buy part 2 of it. I mean, hey, Final Fantasy VII came on 3 discs at launch. That was massive. But there is something to be said in this day and age we live in about games, that the developers can release updates and more content, which they couldn't do as easily back when it was only physical copies in the 90s. I think it's up to the devs to be responsible, to be tactful, graceful, and smart about it. Find ways that they can make money and succeed and do well and prosper like they should. They deserve it. But also, going back to the microtransactions, don't abuse the players and make us feel like that you're just taking advantage of us, because we see through that. We really do, and we notice. And id Software does a really good job of what they do in regard to DLCs and bringing the skins back, which you can pay for, which, hey, that's fine. You had a couple chances to get it. I know that was a big deal at launch with Doom Eternal not having any microtransactions. People called the DLC skins microtransactions. I made a couple videos on it. But the whole thing is, make it worth the player's time and respect. And give us those updates, because we will eat them up. Number 6, make DLCs worth it, because you have to think the core audience of a game is going to be who buys that DLC. Doom Eternal does amazingly at that. The Ancient Gods Part 1 and 2, if you played the base campaign and you want more, that is just made for you right there, because the players are kept in mind. And even if you never played Doom before, you could still jump right in, although I wouldn't really recommend it. If you keep the players in mind when you're making your DLCs, going to go a long way to having us give you that respect and everything else that comes with it. Number 7, listen and be active with players' feedback. I love it when devs like Hugo Martin just go into the community and say, hey, what do you all see? How can you help us make this game better? What can we learn from you? And they actually take that advice and they go back and they implement it and they work on it. That does not happen enough today. I really don't think it is. You don't hear about it a lot. Now, I'm not saying that everything that a player suggests, literally everything, should be put into a game, because there are suggestions that would change the balance of the game and not really be good. But the whole idea is they'll listen, they'll at least consider, and if it doesn't work, they'll be polite. They're not going to say, oh, you suck, we reject this. They will go about it the right way, and they care about what the players want to play, but they as devs know what to put in from that and their own ideas to make a great game. Number 8, skippable cutscenes. I plan to do a whole video on this, by the way, so subscribe if you don't want to miss that. You want to have those skippable cutscenes so a player can continue their experience without stopping for something they've either already seen before or they don't care to see. Now, it is important to at least watch them for your first run through so you can see the story, so you don't go through the game and you're wondering what the heck to do next when it was actually explained in the cutscene. Cutscenes could be loading screens too to help you learn the game. Like I said, I'm making a whole video on that soon, so subscribe for that. Be sure to become a patron if you want to support this channel, get sneak peeks, early access, and help me out, and I'll get you some really cool perks. Check out the video on the screen here. I'm Allstin. Thanks for watching.